To begin, you're going to need to prepare your pieces. For this project, you'll need 30 pieces. So on the template that we use to prepare, I have just like a really thin paper version that I've copied onto cardstock. So this is my initial template that I've used, but of course, if I cut this, it would be a little bit too flimsy in order to make a piece of my puzzle light. So I'm gonna need to copy a bunch of these, but each student will only need 5 sheets because again, 6 pieces times 5 is 30 pieces and we'll need 30 for our puzzle light. To begin, I usually have students just go ahead and mark inside each puzzle light piece with their initials so that if you lose any pieces along the way, we know whose pieces belong to whose. So I'm gonna do that super speedy just to prepare and make sure that I know these are my pieces. My favorite way to cut out all these pieces is to do it in 2 steps. First, do a bubble cut, so we've got kind of a rough cut around our pieces, and then do a precise cut. So when we start with our bubble cut, I'm just gonna go kind of speedy and get a quick cut around my pieces. That way I'm not trying to hold an entire sheet of paper and cutting precisely on one little piece. So if I just do a quick cut like this, then I can have a whole stack of quick cut pieces that I need to trim up and just keep going through all of those until all 30 are as neat as possible. The most important thing when you're cutting is that you take your time to be as neat as possible, because I can promise you, if you have a rougher cut and it's a little bit trickier to see where the tabs are, you're gonna have a little bit more trouble putting your puzzle piece together. So make sure you really pay attention to this little inside notch and this inside notch. You'll notice that 2 of the notches have straight edges and 2 of the notches have angled edges. And that's really important with how we put our piece together. So I'm gonna go in super speed motion and cut out all 30 of my pieces. Ready, go. Artists, it is now time to build. You should have all 30 pieces cut out, and we're actually going to build in 5 steps. So we'll do a bowl, we'll do some valleys, we'll do a wide ring in the middle, then we'll come back up for a valley and a bowl at the top. So it kind of just changes how we attach things, but first I want you to look closely at one piece. When we put our pieces together, we're always going to make sure that our initials or the black lines are inside the sphere, because we want to have that crispy, clean edge where we can't see any writing or any lines on the outside. So when you look at a sphere, it's got this nice, clean edge that doesn't have any writing or any lines. So the first step we're going to do includes 5 pieces, and each of those 5 pieces are going to make a star or a little bowl. So because I have 5 colors, I'm just going to do 1 of each. Now, the trick is when you attach 2 pieces together, you're going to need to build it in the air a little bit because your sphere is going to be 3D. So building it flat on the table is not going to work. Now, when you build your pieces together, you're going to always connect the same tabs together. So if you look at these 2 tabs here, this one has 2 straight edges that go in parallel directions from this long line here, and then 2 angled edges like this. And you're always going to make sure you attach your angle to your angle or your straight to your straight. Now, we're going to start by making our 5-pointed bowl or our star for the very beginning. So the first step I need to do is to connect like this, 2 angles together, and then swoop underneath over here and tuck it in. Notice how many connection points do I have here? 2. So I need to make sure I'm not trying to over connect something and use more than 1 point or more than 2. So again, it was angle to angle and then slide underneath, and we've got 2 connection points here. Now I'm just gonna keep going around in my circle. So my next color here, remember, name down or black lines down so we can only see the neat side. And I'm going to go underneath everything like this and slide that angle line inside here. And then again, swoop around and touch my straight to my straight. That one also connected on how many points? 2. So there's always going to be 4 connection point options, but they change depending on which level we're at. The next one, I'm going to come right over here I'm gonna slide underneath everything, and you'll notice it starts to make this little 5-pointed flower, right? So this little flower right here is going to be helpful for us to know which level we are at. Now, as you start to put it together, you might be tempted to try to connect like up in here with your tab. And when you have your tab up here, you're not really gonna be able to loop that second one in. So make sure that you initially go underneath all of the tabs and then slide this little piece around. Now, because we're using paper, it might be a little bit loose and wiggly at times, but just be patient because the more we add, the stronger it will be. Okay, last piece. Remember, we connected on 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and this one, because it's my last one, I need to connect on 3. So I'll go underneath to finish my 5-pointed flower right here first. I'm going to connect straight to straight, and I go behind everything, and then I give it a gentle little twist here, and I connect my straight to straight here. So now my first layer is done, and it should look like a little star or kind of curve up like a little bowl. All right, my friends, we have step number 1 done. We have our 5-pointed star right here. Our next step is going to include 5 pieces again, and this time we're going to put them right in the valleys of the openings of where our star has a little bit more space. So when I connect these, again, make sure that your name side is down, and I'm simply going to hold it at a little bit more of a wide angle. So not tall like this, but a little bit more wide. And I always connect this deepest valley one first. Notice, when you start putting this together, you're going to have 5 petals in some spaces and 3 petals in others. So right now we're completing that 3 petal right here by sliding underneath, and then you'll notice these 2 little spots want to connect here. So you'll need to do a gentle bend and tuck it in, and a gentle bend and tuck that one in. Again, we're gonna turn it to the side, take my piece, hold it at that side angle and slide in. So slide down, hold and tuck, hold and tuck. Okay, and going kind of slow to get those pieces connected, and you'll see it starts to make that bowl. So again, twist, take my piece, hold it at more of a wide angle instead of tall, and connect that deepest valley first. 1 and 2 and 3. So each of the 5 pieces for this layer, this step that we're working on, connects on 3 points. Okay, so 3 connection points. Here's my 4th one of my 5. I'm gonna tuck underneath, whoop, like that. Here's my 2nd one, and here's my 3rd connection point. And remember, the more you add, the stronger your piece is going to become. So it's okay if it's a little loose and wiggly at some points, because we're going to finish up those parts that make it a bit stronger as well. So the last one goes right here. Slide in to connect that 3-pointed petal right here, and then go underneath. Do a gentle bend, being careful, even if it pops apart a little bit, that's okay. And we're gonna tuck this in. Okay, so now I've got kind of a mound here. Here's my initial star, and then my valleys start going around the edge. If I look on the inside, you can see that the tabs are now hidden, but it always helps to go back to that initial star that you had, and it will help you to see which parts you're missing. So let's move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is going to be our biggest step. We've used 5 pieces for step 1, 5 pieces for step 2, and we're going to need 10 pieces for step 3 because this is the widest part of our sphere, and that ring is going to go in a pattern. So when I start connecting, I'm going to again flip my bowl over so that I can see each of my pieces, and I'm going to start by connecting on 2 points. My pattern is actually going to go wide with my piece, tall, wide, tall, wide, tall, and I keep going around in a ring in that pattern until I finish that circle. So the first one I'm going to connect, I notice that this one has to go sideways because I can tell that these are my angled points. So I'm going to slide under my angle here, connect my straight to straight, and stop. So I only connect the first one on 2 points. Then every other piece for my 10-piece row is going to connect on 3 points, except for the last one. So let's watch how this works. We've got 2 points here. Remember, this one was wide, so now I'm gonna go tall. And every time when I do a piece, I like to start with the middle one. So see how like these are my 3 points I'm gonna connect on, 1, 2, and 3. It helps me to get this middle one done first because then I can just connect these, right? Instead of trying to connect this one and then wiggle it underneath there, it's a little trickier. So I always go in the middle first. That's 1 connection point. Here's 2, and here's 3. Now I'm going to keep going down my row, pick my next piece, and I noticed this one was tall, so I'm going to make my next piece wide. So again, find that middle point like this, connect 1, 2, and 3. Remember, even though you're using paper, it might feel a little bit wobbly or wiggly, like this part right here. It's a little bit loose. It's okay. Just persevere through that feeling so that you can keep going. So again, this was wide, this one's tall. Now a trick is, if you're ever a little bit confused on how many more pieces you need to add to this big 10-piece row, you can set it back down on its initial star and then count. So this was my initial star right here, and I'm gonna look at my pieces right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can tell this part of my 5-pointed sphere needs to be filled in. So again, always kind of keep track of where that initial star point was, the center of your star, and then you can lift it back up and see where you were at. So again, going back to the beginning here, so I've got my last 5 to add. This one was wide, so now I'm gonna go tall. Starting in the middle, here's 1, 2, and 3. Always making sure I'm connecting on those 3 points. 1, 2, give this a little wiggle. 3. Looks like I'm matching colors. I guess I could change, right? And try to make it so it's not 2 same colors touching each other. Sometimes that helps to maybe give it a little bit of variety. 2 and 3. And looks like I have 2 more. Remember, the first piece you connect on that big, long, 10-pointed row is going to connect on 2 points. All the other pieces will connect on 3, and then this final one, see how I have an opening here? I have a wide piece and a wide piece, so this one needs to be tall. And for my tall one, I need to connect on all 4 points to finish my row. So I'm gonna go underneath first, and I like to just do one side at the beginning like this. And then remember, I need to go behind everything, so I'm gonna tuck behind here, even though this is a little bit loose, and I'm good to go. So now I've got this big bowl where I have my star, my valleys, and my 10-pointed, or my 10 piece row in the middle, so it's nice and big. We only have 2 more steps to go, so gently keep your piece still, and let's keep going with steps 4 and 5. All right, friends, we started with a star, valleys, and our row. So now we're going to reverse it, and we're going to find the valleys and then add our star. So to find the valleys, again, if I hold my piece to the side gently, I'm going to connect all of these pieces just like I did the valleys before with 3 points. So again, I'm holding my piece wide like this, not tall, not backwards, but holding it wide, and I'm going to find this valley. See how this is a little bit lower? That makes me feel like that's where my valley is going to be. So I need to connect in the middle first, slide, and that will finish up my 3-petal flower right here. And then I'm going to come up and give this tab number 2 and number 3. So keep twisting, just continue that row. And again, even if things pop off a little bit, that's okay. Because we're using paper, it's a little less structured until we actually go into finishing all of it. So it's gonna be a little bit loose until we get to the final steps. Okay, so again, wide, tuck it in here. This was 1, 2, and 3. So again, for step number 4, all of your pieces connect on 3 connection points. Okay, hold it wide, find that valley. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Okay, so I can tell I've got 2 more valleys to go because I can tell these little pieces right here are starting my sphere, okay, to kind of bring it back in a little bit. So again, find those pieces, hold it wide, tuck it in first behind everything, tuck it in behind, really kind of finagle those little tabs together like this. That's my 3rd point. And my last one for this step, fix my little tabs that come out. My last one for this step is, of course, again, going to be wide. In fact, I'm going to do my yellow so I don't have two same colors touching. It's going to be low first. That's number 1. This is 2. And this is 3. Now, the way that you'll know that you're done with this step is because you can tell there's a pentagon on the top, or your opening is like a pentagon or a star, because all we need to do left is to finish adding a star. So for this one, just check to make sure that you have 5 kind of sideways pieces here and an opening that looks like a star or a pentagon. And we're just about ready for step number 5. It is time to finish up our puzzle sphere. So for this one, we're actually going to just build our star, and your pieces are going to kind of go in this taller way. So instead of wide for the valley that we just did, hold your pieces tall, and you're just going to go around the outside until you have all 5 pieces in. So to begin, we're going to connect on 3 connection points. So I noticed that this one is going to go kind of tall here, and I'm going to go underneath, remember, underneath everything. That's number 1 for my connection point. This is number 2 to connect, and this is number 3. And then I need to leave this piece open because I'll connect the next ones to that. Now, because I'm finishing my sphere, basically everything else from now on is going to connect on all 4 points, all 4 edges. The first one was 1, 2, 3, and this is open, but everything else needs to connect on 4 because I'm almost done. So I'm going to take my next piece, hold it sideways. Remember, we're just continuing that star around the outside. And right here, I need to go underneath everything. So remember, instead of trying to tuck here on top or tuck here this way, we need to go underneath and behind the piece that's already there. So I've got 4 connection points. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and then here's 4. I'm gonna keep going. Again, this piece is also going to connect on 4 because I'm finishing my sphere. So same thing, just a gentle twist to find that opening. Here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. Okay, we're almost done. Just 2 more pieces left. You can see the opening getting a little bit smaller. Okay, the next one goes right here. And again, 4 connection points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And my final one right here. And the final one can be just a little bit tricky, but you have to be careful to just go gently, right? So I need to go behind these pieces and behind this piece. So my final one, I'm gonna tuck underneath and get one of these sides in, and then I'll take this whole piece and just hide it underneath here and gently put those tabs underneath my little flowers. Now we've made an amazing puzzle sphere. This is a really fun way for us to practice building, practice being master cutters, and also to practice seeing something in more of a 3-dimensional form. Great job, artists. Good luck.